give it up for Gabe, everybody.
Hello. Hi, as Amy said, my name is Gabe Bernal, Seasons Farm Fresh. We're importers, distributors, packers of Florida mangoes, mangoes from Central, South American, and the Caribbean. We've done some Pakistani mangoes with not a lot of success, the logistics and supply chains. But some of the information I'm gonna go over, maybe a little redundant, but I kind of want to get to the more interesting stuff about what we do and how we try to get these specialty mangoes to retailers. And I'm gonna go over a little information of how it's evolved, how Florida was the mecca, the dominant supplier of mangoes to the continental United States, and then what happened and how the game has changed and the hope for the future. So I put up a picture actually of one of our retailers, Loblaws in Canada. And they actually, we have a seasonal program, which I'll get into, seasonal and super seasonal programs for specialty mangoes. So in the middle, you have a presentation of the Dominican Republic Mingolo mango. Okay, so I'll be a little brief because I know everyone goes over the history of the mango, and probably people who've been in other presentations have heard these things so many times, but late 1800s, why we're here today and why we have this festival. Dr. David Fairchild successfully introduces Mogoba variety to Florida. You go to different research and it has different years, but that was the time that he was able to successfully establish this variety. And that's where the birth of the mango industry in Florida, besides, you can listen to different podcasts, history, Spaniards brought it over. And yes, mangoes have been around the Southeast, or Florida, the Caribbean for hundreds and hundreds of years. But I wanted to focus more on it being established and people saying, hey, I'm planting trees, they're fruiting successfully. And then the farmers who, a lot of us are farmers by hobby, but there are a lot of farmers. And again, the U.S. is constantly struggling against different importers about items where they want to commoditize and be able to make money off their crops. So the Mogoba was the start. The next one, in 1910, there was a captain, John or Jack, I apologize if I forgot the first name, Captain Hayden, his wife Florence Hayden, avid mango lover, she decided to do a hybrid of the turpentine and Mogoba mango. Those of you who are familiar with Florida mangoes, turpentine is kind of the basis of grafting, just from its strong rootstock and other factors. But what Florence Hayden was able to do was evolve and successfully grow the Hayden variety, which is the base of every commercial mango that you see coming from Ecuador, Peru, Brazil. It all started with the Hayden, and Florida was the central focal point of commercial growers doing research and kind of expanding on their own on how can I commoditize the mango. And a little bit of history too, and again, there's not a lot of research, and I was called last minute, so yesterday, not only successful, but there's families like the Olds family, Erickson family farm, where they still ship, the Zill family did a little bit of it, and these were the growers who started planting more and more and kind of developing groves, as opposed to kind of expanding from the hobby mango. And what they would do is they would ship small volumes intrastate throughout Florida. There's stories of them packing in crates, sending to Key West, all the way up to Fort Myers. But during this time period, they were the families like this who kind of were growing other items, and they got into mangoes, were the ones who expanded. So I was looking up history of different, how people knew Florida mangoes, and I found this postcard from 1915, and it's a mango tree of Florida, of course, digitally enhanced. But next, now we start getting into the commercialization of mango in Florida. So throughout the 1970s and 1950s, from the Hayden, you had different varieties, such as the Kent and Keat, which was first successfully planted here in Florida around the 1940s, and the 1920. Why I put those dates is it kind of shows, how you think about how we've adapted to technology, .com movement, how fast that's gone. Back then, without the technology, ways to study the trees and whatnot, It took a lot more time to figure out what trees did successful in these growing regions, which ones were susceptible to a little bit more cold, could grow at a little higher longitudes versus where they were growing. So in the 1970s to 1990s, that's when Florida kind of got out of Florida, and it's like, how can we ship these mangoes throughout the continental U.S.? And the first stop from my records, talking to people, we do a lot of work in New York, Philadelphia, Boston, the Northeast. New York was the main hub, just as it is now in terms of items coming in. So I found this article, and it says the fruit is plentiful in Florida. This is from 1986, and I'm sure there's older ones. I just didn't have enough time to dive deep, so I apologize if anyone has an older article, and I'd love to see it. So up to, I would say, about the early 1990s, Florida was still the mecca, and people knew Florida mango as the dominant mango distributed around the continental U.S. As Dr. Crane explained, and as you saw that drop of the acreage in Florida, 1990s come. You have so many different factors coming into place, such as Hurricane Andrew in 1992, cheaper labor from different countries that wanted to start bringing in because they saw the success. And it's like, wait, I have a lot more land, I have better growing regions, my cost of labor is a lot lower. How do we kind of expand and service these markets? So up until like the early 1990s, what you think about is only 30 years ago. It was still a small, not even a commodity compared to your apples and oranges, and as big as it is now. So you think about that, the growing costs and the competition from Central and South America knock Florida out the top spot as a mango supplier to U.S. markets. And I'll go into a little detail into the next slide. So here's the rise of the mango as a commodity. As Dr. Crane explained before, the two protocols that you have to follow by USDA to quarantine fruit before it comes into U.S. are either hot water treatment or irradiation. Irradiation is still in its infancy. It's growing. When people hear radiation, it's not like an X-Men. You're not going to eat something that's irradiated. Asparagus from Peru. Funny enough, I always tell people, you'll see the growth. There's a little symbol on produce that you buy, and if you see it's like a broken circle in 3 pieces. It's called a Radura symbol, and that shows items that are irradiated. So next time you check your produce, if you're big into checking out labels, you'll be surprised to see what items have that, and how that's become a way to not, it doesn't make the fruit worse or better, but it's a way to allow different items to come into the U.S. according to USDA standards. So in 1987, you had hot water treatment, which was first approved by mangoes entering the U.S. So it still took some time, it still took 5-10 years until the first mangoes came in. And a year later, 1988, the first 2 countries that had USDA certified facilities approved to export mangoes into the U.S. And not saying they started in 1988. I was looking up records. I think the first ones came in like 1994, 1996. I brought up this chart here and I sourced it. So if anyone wants to look into the research behind it, you see in 1998 it was only Haiti with 7 versus Mexico in 1. And you can see, unfortunately with government situation and things happening in Haiti, but Haiti was one of the largest exporters of mango, which they were bringing the Madame Francine mango into the U.S. So they kept control of that up until, you see 1990, and Mexico, just like a lot of the commodities here, we're used to Florida tomatoes. Mexico, with the subsidies that the government provides and the cost of labor and different factors happening into it, they've killed the Florida tomato industry here for the most part. But Mexico comes in, and then you see Brazil, Ecuador, and Peru around the mid to late 90s start developing their exports because they're seeing this not untapped potential, but whatever Florida was producing, these guys, now it's like a container has about 20 to 20 pallets. There's about 2,000 pounds on a pallet. That was, what Florida was doing was maybe a few containers a week. Now you have big exporters who are doing 10 to 20 containers a day. So it's just the expansion of countries coming in and bringing the mango to what it is. So right now the current leaders in mango exports to the U.S. are Mexico, and then when Mexico's not in season, that's when Peru and Brazil come in, and as grocery store buyers know it as counter-seasonal items. Because as we go to supermarkets now, I always tell people that we're spoiled because you go to other countries and it's like, you get what's in season. You see, if you ever go to Europe, you'll see that people, shop every day because they're buying what's in season. They're buying stuff that's hyper-local, one of the terms that foodies have kind of deemed now in terms of getting the fruit as close as possible. But when you're at a supermarket where you have someone, hey, I want apples for my kids, everyone I'm sure has noticed you have apples 12 months out of the year. Well, the clue is that, they're not all coming from Washington and New York. There's seasonality to everything, so. So now we get into what the main point of my presentation is about. So how grocery store buyers, or aka procurement teams, know mangoes is there's no real variety. They know the varieties, but most of them either know it as a red mango and a yellow mango. So the red mango that you'll see, brilliant displays all around the U.S. now in small corners. We didn't even think mangoes would be successful, but now that mango's so popular, you have the Tommy Atkins, you'll have the Kent from Peru, and the Kit. And I'll get more into how mangoes have expanded because there's a huge Asian diaspora that now come in and popularize the Kit mango eating green. So if you've ever had a mango biche in Colombia, if you've ever had a papaya salad or green mango salad, there's different ways that the consumer's now learning, and we're in the infancy of that. The next is the ataulfo. So the ataulfo, I believe, was the first shipment came in 2002, which again, only 23 years ago. So that shows how, how much potential the different varieties of mango have to expand. And I put a picture of our mangolos that we bring in. So as you'll see, and one of the tricky parts that I'll get into about how it's hard for a lot of supermarket buyers to get into specialty mangoes is, if you look at there, you'll see a few mangoes are green, some are greenish yellow, and then some are fully yellow. There's different, maturity when they come in. Also, where the mangoes are stored, if they're stored next to high ethylene releasing items like avocados, bananas, it could throw off, the maturity and the shelf life of said mango. Oh. Okay. So here, and I'm sure I'll have a lot of questions about this. If not, thank you. Why don't we see different types of mangoes when we shop? So when you talk to a buyer, and this is something that me and my brother over the last 5 to 7 years have gone from selling a majority of our items for regional distributors, local buyers, Fresco y Mas, Presidente. We still sell to them, but we've been able to develop different research material and continuing education on these mangoes that we're trying to get growers to invest in. We're putting, our own money into it, and it's one of those items that we've been fortunate enough where I grew up in Florida. I was telling someone before, my brother used to get on my shoulders, and again, you guys know the mango rule. If it's across the fence and the branch is hanging over, that's as long as you take the mango and no one's looking, that's your mango. But you reach over that fence and you lose some fingers, that's on you. So the big thing is quantity and quality. So a lot of these buyers want to have something that's easy. They want something where I can program. I have this distribution center in Philadelphia. I'm servicing 25 stores. I need to have, this many stores. I need to have extra if there's going to be shrink. There's always a shrink, which is when you bring in, let's say you bring in 10 mango boxes, you may lose 2. That's 20% shrink. All these numbers are kind of calculated, and there's a protocol that they go by in there. So it's quantity and quality. And with us doing Colombian Azucan mango, with us doing Jamaican mango with Wegmans up in the Northeast, the first time you have a quality issue, especially on a specialty mango, when these buyers are worrying about citrus, loads of citrus coming in, loads of Tommy Atkins mangoes coming in, one shipment can cancel the program quick. So it's one of those things where you have to have a buyer that's flexible and knows the nature of the mango. Business and politics, just like we can, I can go around and anyone in any industry they're in, it's about, what is their highest margin. Retailers, for example, before they buy their first shipment of mango, they're already calculating they need to make at least 35 to 40%. So when people say, oh, why are these mangoes so expensive? Again, if you're really into my background is finance and accounting. So you get into the numbers and there's a certain point, and with what me and my brother are trying to do with our business and our partner Lewis, we're trying to make that margin for us as small as possible because it's all about volume. So if we can start lower and start with little volume and grow to that, then the money it's kind of a pay it forward. But our passion lies in getting new varieties out there and how they're able to sustain the shelf life and how they're able to commercialize in the U.S. The next, procurement teams, aka fruit buyers, have to follow USDA market standards and in-house food safety protocols. So you have to deal with USDA. A big certification now is food safety. It's been around for a while, but a lot of buyers now are saying, oh, is the farm certified for food handling? Is the pack house certified for food handling? So having control of all those critical points is just only going to be safer for the consumer, and it's completely understandable. But as mango growers know, there's different variables, there's different bugs that come into play, there's different disease. Anthracnose is a big issue we have. I'm sure there's mango growers out here now with the rain. They're worried about like, oh man, it's gonna infect the mangoes on my tree. So just a lot of things to follow. And again, if you don't play by the rules, you're not gonna get into places like Kroger, Heinen's, Safeway, different retailers we've been fortunate to get into with certain specialty mangoes. Another thing, if it ain't broke, why fix it? So I hear this constantly with a lot of buyers in terms of they're used to a Tommy Atkins mango, they're used to a red mango. There's different stickers that you see on mangoes in the supermarket called PLUs, and there's only like 2 or 3 varieties that adhere to specific PLUs. So that's why in the last slide when I said red mango and yellow mango, so the yellow mango, they have one for Ataulfo, and then they have one for Mingolo. And I think besides that, there's other ones registered, but they haven't been utilized. So if you're not using that PLU for a fruit buyer, for a procurement team, it means that they're not buying enough of that mango. So a lot of them will take that off the SKU. So getting that item back in if it didn't have success. And it's one of the things I said before, if your mango's not constantly going with quantity and quality, you may have to go through the whole registration process over again. And then to summarize it, challenging the norms versus the risk. These buyers, want said programs, Ecuador, Brazil. Brazil now comes with a Palmer mango, which they're able to substitute now for a red mango because of its blush. There's a lot of complacency that me and my brother are trying to convince and also take the risk where we say, hey, we're going to cover this shipment to get these mangoes into the U.S. Just, help us with the point of sale, help us with the display items and how we can market that. And fortunately, there are organizations like the National Mango Board, which is, helped with this festival, that are big on the varieties and how we can expand. Oh, sorry. That's a picture of, we did actually with Whole Foods. We had a few shipments and we already got in with some Florida mango, and that's a pick from an Alfonso mango. So if you see that, it's kind of, that's my hand. I don't have giant hands, but that was a pick of a Florida Alfonso, and we were able to get some of that into Whole Foods, but they got some. You can also see the top of the Alfonso mango with its issues. So let's say that program was short-lived, but we tried. Okay, here's the last slide, and here's my optimistic point about it. There is hope. You're all here now, so you have an interest in mango, trying different mangoes, whether it's here in the blessed backyard of Florida, or if you've been to a country abroad, Southeast Asia, Central America, South America, and you've tried a certain mango. That's, people traveling and people trying, exploring their palate, as I like to say, has piqued the interest, and you have a lot of consumers, especially after COVID. That's when I saw the rise of, there were companies like Miami Fruit before that, but a lot of them who actually buy some specialty mango off of us in our groves, they, with their business 3x, 4x, 5x, because people weren't traveling as much, and they wanted to get those mangoes from their previous travels, or even after that, when people were safe traveling, they kind of caught up on the travel that they hadn't done before. So you have direct consumer. So you have certain farms. I think Lara Farms does it. Well, I know Lara Farms does it. Erickson Farms has been doing it for a while. They actually do green mangoes too, which is really cool. They're sending from their farms. A little bit expensive, but as I put in the parentheses, pay to play. There's Tropical Fruit Box, Miami Fruit, Fruit Hunters, and a couple companies that have been able to market and do well. A lot of people come to me and say, oh, why are their prices so high? You would have to talk to them on why they're charging so high, what their labor costs are. But for me, it's one of those things where it makes sense that there's different venues of people getting these mangoes. Because let's say if there's enough, then an order from Miami Fruit, for example, them wanting 100, 200 pounds, they'll want a whole pallet. So that just means, hey, there's something catching on, and that gets the wheels rolling in me and my brother's brains on how can we commercialize this mango, because it is having success among a more vast population. I mentioned super seasonal before. So some of the retailers, and they tend to be more regional markets, and I'll list them. We've kind of coined a term, super seasonal. For Jamaican mango that we bring in, we sell to Broward Meat and Fish. We've done some to Presidente Fresco, but we've always advertised it as super seasonal because the export season from Jamaica, for example, is 6 weeks. We actually just finished 2 weeks early our season now because there was fruit fly found in a lot of the farms, and the Ministry of Agriculture for Jamaica had to shut down those exports. So there are regional markets that are into, hey, let me advertise a week or two before you like this mango, or they have enough Jamaican clientele, they have enough Caribbean clientele. We do the same for lychees too, like we bring from South Africa, and our season runs into, we always knock on wood because it ends close to right before Chinese New Year. And that's a great time where companies like H Mart, Mango Tree here locally, if you haven't heard of them, they just opened their 3rd location near Homestead. Highly recommend. They're big into, these, I want to say Asian and Hispanic ethnic markets are ones that, not to take away from the Walmarts and Krogers, those are, sometimes I say necessary evil because I forgot what the stat someone told me was, within like 5 miles, like there's a Walmart or something, like in the US, like some crazy statistic. But there is a rise of people who did have those passion projects of coming to the US, where can I find food that's native to my homeland? And again, we're in Miami. We're so blessed to be in the melting pot we are, where you can talk to 3 different neighbors and you can learn about 3 different countries. So the super seasonal programs at regional supermarkets, some of the ones we work with, and there's more in the West Coast, you have Fiesta supermarkets, Vallarta supermarkets. Those are starting to expand east. Here you have like Presidente Fresco y Mas, but the buyers there honestly still buy like the Kroger, it's all about price point because their business model is they get, certain percentage of revenue off of that. So, they're always looking to get, the cheapest stuff, and it's harder with a specialty mango where the cost and inputs are so much more expensive. But I recommend if you ever see one, Mango Tree, there's 2 in Broward, 1 down here in Homestead. H Mart is an Asian supermarket. There's been one, if you're from or around Orlando, they've been trying to open one for years, but something with the infrastructure, it's been taking a while. But in the in Texas, in California, and in the Northeast, you'll find a lot of H Marts. Highly recommend. A lot of Asian, and besides fruit, it just if you're from that region or have family from that region, I highly recommend going to H Mart. And Patel Brothers, which started off in Chicago. And when the Indian mango, there are different distributors, and it's small mom and pop companies, kind of like how me and my brother started, who they bring in from family members from Pakistan, from India, these mangoes direct, loaded at the airport, getting it from the airport, and bring into Patel Brothers. And there have been days where I've seen, the Alfonso and Kensar mangoes, I blink, and literally a pallet's gone. So the demand is there, and a lot of retailers are catching on to it. It's just a matter of time, and showing the timeline of when hot water treated started, the years that Florida, bringing mango in, commercializing. Another point of history in the past, I read a brief article on how a lot of people for specific varieties in crates, they were transporting damp seedlings throughout the throughout the south region of Florida to have people grow mangoes. So it all started as a hobby, and then people saw, oh man, this mango's good enough. They had enough friends asked, and then you had commercial growers expand. So there is, Right now you have your standard red or yellow mango in supermarkets, but there's hope for the future. And as you see these super regional markets catch on, you're going to see the bigger players catch on. And hopefully, there's going to be more than just your standard Ataulfo, Tommy Atkins, Kent Keat. I would say those are the top 4 in terms of mangoes imported to the U.S. So, oh yeah, last point, most importantly, and I already mentioned National Mango Board research is trying to see which countries and which varieties are the most commercially viable to bring in for retail. But talk to your local produce manager. If you are at these stores and you're from somewhere, it's like, hey, I've heard that this market, or I've heard that we've got these mangoes, this specific Julie, East Indian, Bombay even we've brought them before. Talk to your produce manager, and enough people ask, word spread like wildfire. So that's always something. If there's something you want to see in your produce store, talk to your manager, and there's hope.
I got a question. What's your favorite mango? Your current favorite mango?
Current mango, got to be ice cream.
Ice cream?
Ice cream mango, coconut cream, and I was saying because it's more abundant, my aunt has a neighbor who has Valencia Pride, and that's the one where you can get, the volume when it's in season, enough for me and my wife who, again, tries to eat a mango a day, and my baby who loves mangoes now. So.
All right. Ice cream. I don't know where you get that one.
Ice cream mango.
Go ahead.
Oh, God.
With the political issues in Haiti, how has that affected? Because it says that Haiti is a big producer.
Yeah.
So the gangs have taken over.
Again, we've been working with the USDA, and now the issue is getting the safety right now. As you've seen before, there's a lot of, I don't even think any commercial airlines are flying into Haiti right now with the current situation. There's private flights. One of our top growers in Haiti, because it's another passion project of ours, we've been talking to Haiti in terms of getting this approved. Because of the government and the current situation, my brother gave a speech on it about Jamaica, but now it's in Haiti. On the terrorist list is the current Minister of Agriculture for Haiti. So, again, not to blindside anybody, but again, he's maybe been taking money, who knows what, but we can't even talk to the Minister of Agriculture because he's not even a reliable source of being able to export again. And it's sad because there's so much potential, not even potential, it's already existed, but revitalizing that export to come in again, and with our own government situation and budget cuts, USDA has its cuts, NOAA, National Weather Service. Every time I read the news now, I see, one of these government entities getting cut. So you kind of got to figure out, depending on your industry and what you do, are they getting cut from different government officials that you work with? So again, it's a great mango, huge distribution along the east. To be honest, it's consumed so much that it doesn't even make it to the West Coast. But yeah, down New York all the way to Miami, our hope is in the next year or two that things will get better, but only time will tell.
All right. Thank you again. Everybody give it up for him. Thank you. That was awesome.